Hopeful Beginnings is a 501c3 dedicated to perinatal mental health and adoption services. We believe in empowering women and families to build nurturing homes for children. The Hopeful Beginnings podcast tells the stories of pregnancy, birth, and parenthood through the eyes of professionals who serve families in our Chicagoland community. Find out more at hopefulbeginning.org. Hello, this is Natalie Rodriguez, Executive Director of Hopeful Beginnings, and welcome back to the Hopeful Beginnings podcast. Today, I have two special guests here with me. I have Jenny Rivera and Carol Fate. Both come to us from the world of home visiting. I always like to have my guests kind of introduce themselves. So Jenny, would you like to start just a brief introduction?
Sure. Like you said, my name is Jenny Rivera. I am the program supervisor for our program called FIND PI. FIND stands for Family Involvement Nurturing Development Prevention Initiative. And our program has been around for about 40 years now.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yes.
Carol, what about you?
Yes, I am Carol Montgomery Fate. I am the program supervisor of another home visiting program. Jenny and I work pretty closely together. And ours is out of it's called CASE. It's a cooperative association for special education. But we have home visiting and doula services for families. Some have kids with special ed needs and some don't.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I think before we get really into the topics today, can either of you explain what is home visiting? I know it kind of sounds like you're visiting people in their homes, but what does that look like? Who is it for? What are you referring to when you say home visiting?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question. The way I describe home visiting, it's really a program for anybody who is interested in learning more about themselves as a parent, how to help their child with their development, how to support not only themselves, but their family as a whole. A lot of the families that we particularly work with through our grant are families who have a lot of need or may be considered at risk, if you will. And so they come with an assortment of needs, and sometimes their basic needs are their top priority. And so we help meet those needs so that way they can become the best parents that they can be.
Okay. So, yeah.
I think just one thing I would add to that is that the way that people can be a good fit for home visiting or eligible for home visiting has really broadened in the last few years. So we too see families like you've described, but then there's also like pretty much every family really is eligible because there's so many, like just parenting in general is hard. And then if you throw in any one little extra challenge, like the financial challenges that you were mentioning, or it might be mental health challenges, or it might be isolation. Sometimes people are just far from any of their extended family. And that's enough to, be eligible for home visiting if it's something that you would want.
Mm-hmm. And so it's eligible. Families as a unit are eligible. And for children, is it above a certain age, under a certain age?
Mm-hmm. It tends to be prenatal up until age 3.
Okay. Perfect.
So really, like right when the family, it's just such a beautiful time to work with families because everything is fresh and new and so potentially changeable, and there's just a lot that can happen in those early years that make it really enjoyable to work with families at that point in their life.
Yeah, those little brains are really malleable, right?
Absolutely.
And parents, right? I remember, when my kids were little, it's beautiful, but it's really challenging time of life.
It really is. And that's where home visiting comes in, because we specifically hire people who are not judgmental, are really open to all sorts of ways of being a parent, that there isn't just one way. And so it's like someone who just kind of comes along with you, offering encouragement, guidance, information. Like it's really tailored to what each family needs.
Okay. Absolutely.
And so you both are supervisors at your programs, correct?
Yes.
How did you all get involved in home visiting? Because it is a very specific job. It's a very specific career to say, I want to work with families who are pregnant or have young children. Is that what you studied? How did you get involved?
For me, I feel like my journey, it really happened in a specific way, and it feels really meant to be. I started my professional career as a youth and family counselor. So I worked in the mental health field, and I really enjoyed that. I worked with teens and their parents, and the work was really, really rewarding. And then I had my child, my firstborn, and I realized, I wonder what happens from infancy, toddlerhood, throughout the child's lifetime to get to adolescence. What happens? Because I feel like there's so much love and so much attention given to this baby. Does that change over time that might influence some of the struggles that these teens were facing and some of the struggles the parents were also facing? And so I really wanted to learn more about children, more about parenting. And a former colleague of mine was working at the program that I'm currently with Find. And she's like, hey, we have an opening. And to be honest, before entering, the home visiting field, I only thought of home visiting as DCFS.
Right.
Like in-tact services, or what would I be doing? What does that look like? What do you mean there are other services that you can go into someone's home, but not have, DCFS on your label? And so I was really curious, and I interviewed, I got the job, and I've been here ever since. And I think it was really my calling to be here. I really enjoy those early years. I love seeing the relationship that grows not only with the parent and child, but the relationships that grow amongst the parents in the program itself, the relationships that I had with my families. And it really helped me too, as a parent, to learn more about my child's development and ways that I can support her development, as well as support myself as a parent, right? Because it's new and it's scary and there's unknowns. But I really value home visiting. I almost wish I had a home visitor when my daughter was an infant, because there's so much to learn and so many ways to grow. But I'm appreciative that I can do that for others.
That's really beautiful. What about you, Carol? Were you thrown in? Did you jump in? How did you get involved into home visiting?
Yeah, first I just want to say, Jenny, I've known you a long time, and that was so interesting to know the particular path. I love finding out about why people do what they do. And my why, it was a little bit accidental at first, actually. I studied social work, and in one of my internships, they had a program where they did in-home counseling. And I remember with this one particular family, there were other agencies involved, and they were very grumpy with this family. This family was not providing enough in nutrition and all sorts of things. And so I was sent out there. And within 2 seconds, it became abundantly clear, like, where the person lived, how there were no grocery stores anywhere walkable. The people didn't have transportation. Many children, too many to, like, even if they did have a stroller and there was a store nearby, too many to get to the store easily. So it, like, instantly became clear to me that there was more to the story. And I think that made me think, being in someone's home, you don't make as many assumptions, because you kind of can feel how it feels, and you can easily see both all the joys that are happening and also the challenges that people are facing. And so from that, I sort of like steered myself toward things that involved at least some component of home visiting, whether it was early intervention or, once I discovered that there was this preventative way of doing home visiting for pretty much every family, I just never looked back.
Yeah.
I've loved it.
It is a certain level of intimacy, right? That
is.
you have with someone who's voluntarily opening the door for you as a professional to come. A lot of times they'll think help, but really partner with them to think about their kids. You're right. I love that. It makes you see the challenges and the joys. That's so beautiful.
Right.
Yeah. It's such a privilege to be allowed into someone's home.
It really is. I think too, I remember, probably dating myself, but I'm in my 40s now, right? So, but, years back, it was assumed if you had a professional coming into your home, there was a problem. And that's not what your programs are.
Right. Yeah, there's not a problem at all. There's more like this is a family who's chosen to avail themselves of every opportunity to become a stronger family, to have make more connections, to make some parent friends, because both of our programs and most home visiting programs have a really abundant group possibility. And so a lot of times, I mean, this is sort of anecdotal, but over time I've seen this again and again where one-on-one someone might be really struggling with the anxiety, the enormous responsibility of a new baby, or have like suddenly become depressed and they're kind of, it's just a lot to deal with. And sometimes connecting up with other moms, other dads, other grandmas that are in the same situation can really make a difference. That really addressing the isolation and that aloneness that we have in our society, the way parents often are, just handling everything on their own.
Yeah.
Home visiting can, we go into the home, but also we have opportunities for people to come out of their home and join in with other families. And I think that, that isn't something that like, oh, you're a part of home visiting and something is going wrong. It's like, no, you have figured out how to make something go right in your family.
Yeah. Would you say there is a common set or there's common parenting challenges, themes that you've seen, I would say like throughout your career or like throughout the last couple of years that parents are dealing with? You mentioned isolation, and I think that's really important too, because if you don't have someone validating your experience of sleep deprivation, for example, that's hard, right? You might not know that that's normal.
Right.
For me, that was a big one as a breastfeeding mom, but I was wondering if there's other challenges you see.
Yeah, I can speak specific to my program. We work with a large immigrant population. And so the theme of isolation is huge. A lot of families that we work with are here alone. So they don't have a sister, a parent nearby, a cousin, nobody. And so it's really isolating to be able to parent alone. Parents often talk to us about how difficult it is to not have a village when they're used to knowing a village will be there to support them. And, they're coming here for all the right reasons. And that lack of support is what really they struggle with a lot. And so, speaking to the group aspect, I love when, families can come to group and they build their own community and they build their own support system and they find ways to connect outside of group even. And I think that has been really, really positive. Other challenges that our families face is just the, economic turmoil that they face.
Little kids are expensive.
Very expensive, very expensive. And, a lot of parents these days, both parents have to work. And it's like, how do we both work and also establish a relationship with our child? We want to be able to be there with them during, their first 3 years of life, but financially we can't. And so figuring out ways to seek out additional resources like childcare, can be daunting. It can be scary, and just being able to meet basic needs. Has been really challenging.
Increasingly challenging,
Yes.
I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah, I would echo those two are big ones. I also think that just knowing there's so much information about parenting from so many different sources.
Right.
There's everything online. There's what your neighbor might say. There's what you remember from being a child, and trying to kind of sort all that out and decide what kind of information is authoritative for me and what kind of parent do I want to be? Do I want to do it like I was raised? Do I want to do it differently? All of that, I think, is a challenge because there's just so many options and so much information. So again, just having someone to bounce those ideas off of, someone who doesn't really have a say in it, just as a good listener. And that is, we both have talked about this in the past, and I've talked about this with you too, Natalie, about the importance of the people that we choose for, it's not just anybody who could be a home visitor. You don't need any particular, you don't need a certain degree to do it or a certain set of experiences, but you really need to be a quick connector, someone who is just open to a lot of ideas, not judgmental. And so I think that can be really useful to have someone to just talk through things. And then the parents are making their own decision about what they want to do with their family, but you've got a sounding board.
Right, right. And that is super valuable thinking about it. There are lots of opinions in this world. And I can think even if you don't have your family, parents today, they're constantly almost being supervised by media, right? Everybody films everything, whether they put it on Instagram or TikTok, and everybody then has their opinions about those things. It's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure. Yes. Yeah.
So one of our main focuses at Hopeful Beginnings, as you both know, is perinatal mental health. We feel really passionate about providing that therapeutic support for parents. Where can you both see kind of that opportunity or bridge for clinicians, maybe in a more formal setting and home visiting, to work together?
We are fortunate to have worked together in the past with different clients, and I think seeing how well we work together is really important and vital for the family's well-being. It's really important to be able for a clinician to address some of the mental health struggles that the family may be facing, as their home visitor is there to listen, but is not there to provide clinical care. And I think that's really the biggest difference that I see, and the reason why we love working with you guys, because you're able to really provide that space for mental health and allow families to know that mental health is real and the struggles are real, and that seeking help is okay. And I think it's also very helpful for the home visitor to know that this family is receiving additional supports, and it's not just all on them, or vice versa. Maybe there's stuff that the family's talking to their clinician about at home that their home visitor can support with, finding resources or finding other supports. And so I think they complement each other very well.
I agree. Such a good partnership when we've had the privilege of working together with you. I think that the benefit of both, and of course not every family needs one or the other or both, but the benefit of both is that there is that clinician there who can really zero in on what, very specifically on a particular need with all of those clinical skills. And then there's the home visitor who's kind of got the bigger picture of the whole family, of how even though this is happening, there's still needs that the baby has to connect and attach with that parent, even though that parent is struggling. And another, key part of it is the home visitor, and I think, Natalie, all of your clinicians as well, but we really see the long view. We know that, yes, right now is a time of specific struggle and things are rough. But we know that that's not the whole story. We know that even in this moment, that's not the whole story of the family. That's not the whole story of the person. And certainly over years, things are going to be better and different from us working together. So I love it when we can work together.
Yeah, I love it too. And, we always love referring to home visiting when we get those clients who maybe they call us or maybe they're in services for a couple months and their questions all start to shift to child development, right? Of what should I be playing with my baby? What should I, what kind of toys and games? And that's kind of where we know clinically, you might not need therapy anymore. You actually need home visiting. And it's so nice to know that I say you, but our clinicians don't have to keep someone in services because there is an alternative. There, we can complement each other in these ways. I know you're probably going to both say that you don't have a favorite client, but I really don't believe
thinking that.
I really don't believe that. All teachers have their favorite. I used to teach and I have my favorite students, but I'd love for you or both of you to share one of your more memorable clients that you've worked with over the years and why. Why did they touch your heart?
I'll jump in, Jenny, while you're thinking. Yeah. It's hard to decide, isn't it, on which one to talk about at this moment.
Doesn't mean you don't have other favorites. It doesn't mean there aren't others. But
you're
yes.
right. That is so true. I think the one that jumps out in my mind, and I think this tends to be true for me, of the challenge that I love is if someone is a tiny bit distrustful at first, like maybe a little bit suspicious, like, all right, this is skeptical. Sounding too good to be true. A little skeptical. Like, I think that's healthy. I'm always like, yeah, good. You're not going to just tell me everything right away. You're gonna check me out. You're gonna make me earn trust. And so, yeah, I'm just thinking of a mom who had been, she had been incarcerated, and for something that was pretty shocking. And I think that's just sort of like, I always love the and, like, yes, this happened, and there's the chance to do things differently now. And so I felt like in working with her, it just was like a bit by bit, I could see her starting to trust me. I could see the more she trusted me, the more she told me, and then the more useful I could be to her. Right. So I felt like, oh, it's happening. So I think, whenever I think of a client or a family that I've worked with that I will never forget, I'm very grateful that she took a chance on me. And we could really work through some really difficult challenges in her life and have her figure out kind of a plan for how to address them.
Yeah. I think something similar for me, early on in my home visiting career, I was partnered with a family. At the time, she had a 2-year-old daughter, and she was a little skeptical about, like, who is this person? Should I be inviting them into my home? What are they going to do? What are they going to say? Are they going to judge me? Right. Is kind of the feel that I got from her. And so we were able to meet in the community first, get to know each other, establish a relationship, build that rapport. And she was so quiet at first. And I was like, oh, I hope that she feels safe enough to be able to share with me what's going on or talk about her children. And it took some time. But once she was able to, I think, trust me or feel that connection with me, man, did she open up. And it was like a brand new person. Inviting me to her home for the very first time was really special. And just seeing just how amazing she is was really, really special. And I think it doesn't hurt that her daughter, so cute. Yeah. And then she was pregnant with her second. And equally as cute. And so I was able to work with this family for 4 years.
Wow.
And so we really established a really good relationship, a really good connection. And still to this day, she reaches out just to say hi sometimes. And I think that's really special for me. I'm only able to work with this family in particular for a short moment of time. Yet the relationships that we make can be long lasting.
Yeah. You became kind of part of her village, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so much what we want, is to
Yes.
have that long-term relationship and be part of that circle of support forever. So that is so meaningful when people choose to stay in touch.
Yeah.
I love that. And the other thing that you mentioned in that story that I think is important for people to know about home visiting is that, okay, it is called home visiting. So that is the ideal, is that we go to people's home. But there can be families that we work with that we never, ever, ever go into their home because maybe they prefer to meet at the library or prefer to meet at someone else's home for whatever reason. Maybe there's too many people in the home. Maybe it's not safe in the home. Maybe they need a certain kind of anonymity or privacy somewhere else. So all of that is perfectly okay in home visiting, even though it's home visiting.
Right, right.
It's really meeting families where they are.
Yeah.
And what's in their comfort level. Yeah.
So I think I forgot to write this actually on our question list, but both of your programs have doula components. Can you both talk about, we've had other doulas actually on this podcast before and talk about, what doula services are. But can you talk about what does that relationship look like, or how does home visiting work when it starts as doula services, maybe prenatally?
I think we tend to, in the home visiting world, when we have doulas as a part of our program, we specifically say community doulas to try to differentiate, because the way that we work is a little different than private doulas work. And private doulas are amazing. So go private doulas. And what community doulas do is a little bit different, I would say. It's sort of like a specialized kind of home visiting in that it's really targeted what is being talked about. It's as if you have a personalized childbirth education course coming to you rather than needing to go to anywhere else. You've got your person, your specialized home visitor coming in to figure out what are the things you need to learn about, what are the ways you want to practice ahead of time, who else needs to be involved and learn about what's going to happen in labor and delivery. And then our community doulas are able to be with people in the hospital.
Okay.
We are not able to go to homes, so that's a disadvantage where private doulas can go to people's homes for a home birth. But for us, we're always meeting people in the hospital, but we are there 24/7 through the labor and delivery. We're available 24/7 through the that sort of window of might it be labor and delivery or through that whole prenatal time. And then afterwards, I feel like here's where we also really shine as community doulas, in that the visits prenatally are weekly. And then after the baby is born, it's weekly visits for everything postpartum, including the emotional challenges that come with postpartum. So it's like you've got your personalized person there. And then at some point, ideally, the doula kind of fades out after a few months, and the home visitor keeps on going. So it's like this whole wraparound service.
Yeah. I see the introduction of doula services into home visiting as more of a holistic approach of really putting the family and their needs front and centered. Before we were able to provide doula services, we still provided prenatal care. However, it was different. The home visitors are equipped with lots of knowledge for prenatal to 3, but that doula component really honed in and provided that specialized care. And the doulas in our program not only as well as yours, not only focus on just, what's changing in their body or how are they feeling emotionally, but it can also be really helpful to help navigate the healthcare system, especially if this is your first time having a baby. walking alongside parents, talking to them about there's hospital tours, just, I guess, introducing them to all the different components of what it means to have a baby, and what resources are out there, what supports are out there, has been really valuable for our participants. And yeah, I mean, it's very special to be in a room while someone is giving birth.
Oh, for sure.
It's amazing.
It's
just
incredible.
amazing. Yeah.
It's such a gift.
Yeah.
It is such a gift.
Yeah.
And you really, really see the very beginning
Right.
of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like nothing else,
Right,
right?
right.
It's like nothing else. So I guess, what would you tell someone? And you kind of get to do this as a doula, right? But what would you tell somebody that they should know, or what advice would you give someone who's, kind of planning a pregnancy and thinking, okay, I want to begin my journey to want to be a parent? Because I do feel like it's a process, right? When you do have the luxury of planning that experience.
I guess my best advice for any prospective parents is to really trust their instincts and really follow their gut. I think being a parent, like you were talking about, the social media influences or all the articles there's so much information, which can be really helpful and really great, and can also be difficult. Do I do this method? Do I do this method? How can I best support my child? And becoming a first-time parent can be really exciting, can be really scary. And your body and your baby best, and really trust that. Really trust that.
I feel we are quite like-minded, because I was trying to think of a way to say, like, find your people who are going to help you find your own confidence. It's like a different way of saying trust yourself, but kind of knowing that you're probably not going to at first. Like, whether this was a super planned pregnancy or if it was a surprise, either way, this is new. It's overwhelming. You're not going to know what you're doing. How should you? You've never done it before. So how could you find people who are going to not be expecting you to know it yet, but help you figure it out for yourself? I think I saw something that said, like, parenting isn't knowing what to do. It's figuring out what to do. And so who are your people who can help you figure that out? And then, of course, that speaks to if all of a sudden you come up with the answer of, like, oh, no, my people are over somewhere very far away from me, then, okay, how can we rally and find you some people?
Right. What are my resources, right? In a way, who can I tap into? I think about, if someone says they know what they're doing when that first baby comes, they're lying. Like, I felt like I was super prepared. I wanted to be a parent, did the whole fertility thing. I had no idea what to do when that baby actually was born. Like, it all goes somewhere else,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember so vividly having my daughter. We were in the hospital. Everything's going well. Everyone's helping. Nurses are there. She's doing great. Okay. We get home. We put the car seat down. And my husband and I just look at each other like, oh, okay. Now it's just us. Now we're on all the time, forever.
Right.
And that was, an eye-opener for sure.
Yeah.
Babies don't come with manuals on what to do when this happens, and neither do parents. And so it's really just figuring it out as you go, and really building that relationship. And it's beautiful, and it's hard and complicated all at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's okay to make mistakes.
Yes.
For sure. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I'll talk about, something that's maybe not so beautiful, but The majority of home visiting programs, like both of yours, in the state of Illinois are funded through some kind of state support, some kind of state funding. Can you talk about maybe some of the opportunities, but some of the challenges that come with, running a program, helping residents of Illinois, but also being limited by that same program model?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We are grateful that we have public funding through the state because it provides an opportunity for families who may have not been able to receive the services had they had to pay, or that weren't local to their area. And so I appreciate that aspect of the funding. I think the challenges come when there are limitations on funding, or the state might have other priorities, and so maybe we aren't at the forefront of grant funding, and it can be a little scary to know that the majority of your funding is coming from the state, and at any point, the state can say, "Hey, we don't have enough to fund this type of service anymore."
Right.
And so, trying to plan for longevity can be sometimes a little bit difficult. Trying to plan, what we can do, how we can grow, can also sometimes be challenging because will we have enough funding? Will we not? And so it can be difficult for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It is wonderful that it's publicly funded. When I am out in the world talking to people and they're like, "Wait, what do you do?" I'm like, "Well, it's taxpayers like you. Thank you to you. You are supporting. You are supporting it." And they're like, "What?" That
and it's
usually gets
really
people-
important. Yeah,
it's so important that tends to get people's attention. Like, wait, what am I supporting? But because of that, if there is the potential that if we all, put whatever pressure there is to say, hey, our legislators, yes, this is important, and we are the taxpayers. Do continue to fund it. I think so. That potential is there, which is wonderful. I do think, echoing Jenny, what you said, that when we are in this prevention space, I think are a little at risk of they have to fund everything absolutely essential. Right. So when we're in a time like we are right now, it seems to be like an economic squeeze. I do worry that anything that is gonna be good for humanity in the long run, but isn't absolutely necessary, we're under a little bit tighter squeeze, I think. I know our funding for this next year is pretty tight for our program. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why, we started this conversation of what is home visiting, who's eligible. Those funding, caps or streams are really what limited in the first place, right?
That's so true, because it used to be when the funding was a lot smaller, theoretically the same group of people, which is basically everybody was eligible, but we would take the people who are most in need first. Right. So if we just have a smaller program, that's the only people who get to do it. And then we've been in a period, I'd say over the last 8 to 10 years, of a more largesse in funding. And so a lot of our programs have gotten bigger. And I know, Jenny, your program and our program, we've stayed very stable. So our home visiting and doula team are super experienced and very committed. And I think because of that, we will be able to weather this tightening of funding, because really the relationship is what matters. So we don't need a lot of extra for supplies or for field trips or whatever. No, we need the people for the relationship. That's really where the magic happens.
Yeah, that institutional knowledge that experience carries, right? Because, it is a craft,
It is.
being able to form those relationships, and also, seeing so many different parent experiences does give a home visitor or a doula, I imagine, more to pull from, right? In those difficult times of working with families experiencing bigger challenges.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always say a family adds a new tool to your tool belt.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, every family is so different.
Right,
So different.
right.
So different.
That's what keeps it really interesting. I think once people find home visiting, either on the participation end of it, or if you found it as your field, your career, people really are committed to it because it is endlessly interesting. Every new family is like, oh, right.
Yeah.
What are your values? What are you interested in? How do you want to do this?
For sure. So could you walk us through, like, for our listeners, in a perfect world, like say you have the perfect circumstances, what does home visiting enrollment to, I guess, graduation look like through the eyes of a family?
All right. Somehow they would find out about it. Like maybe they'd hear this and be like, hey, I want to do it. The enrollment process is pretty simple. It's just like a little getting to know you experience. So from the eyes of a family, it'd be someone wanting to know a little bit about me, my family, what my hopes are, what my situation is like. And then they would offer to come and visit me in my home for our program, usually it's once every couple of weeks. And then say I get pregnant again, so now I have a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old and I'm pregnant, maybe doula services would be offered and I would say yes or no. This whole time I could say yes or no. I could say, hey, you know what? I like this program, but I'm not really clicking with the person that you sent me. That's okay. We swap out if we need to, no problem. The relationship would get stronger and stronger. I would find that I was turning to that person when I just had a question, or my mom told me this, but I just want to talk it through. Or like my partner wants to discipline our kids in this way and I don't really, can I talk it through? Like more and more I would find I was looking forward to that visit from the home visitor. The doula would be with me during my labor and delivery. And then once my child got to maybe 2.5, we would start talking a little bit about, okay, there's these preschool options, but I don't know how I feel about it, or what do I want to do? And that person would help me figure that out. Or if I needed to find some affordable childcare, they would help me with that. I wanted to move to a different apartment. They would help me, talk through that, like all the things. And then I think this is true for your program too. Most programs have some sort of celebration at the end. When that child is 3 years old, we just had our little graduation celebration recently, and it was the most beautiful thing because everybody gets in their fancy dress. Aunts, uncles, grandmas, neighbor, like whoever has become that community for that family gets to come and celebrate this. I mean, of course, what we're celebrating is the parents, really.
Right.
They're the ones who've done it. That little child, couldn't have gotten to all the learning that they've done. But we're really highlighting that 3-year-old and saying like, okay, you're officially moving on, but we always have a place for you here. Oh. So hopefully that's what people would experience. I'm sure I've missed. I'm sure I've left out things.
No, I think that summed it up perfectly. I think when a prospective family might be interested in home visiting, I think, you highlighted so many great points. It's that relationship that you will be building with a neutral party to really walk alongside you in parenting and just be able to ask any and all sorts of questions. We may not have all the answers, but we will get you the answers.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that's important to note. It's a beautiful 3 years, if not longer, where you really get to learn about your child's development and how to help strengthen or identify if there may be an area where they need more support, getting those supports early on through early intervention can be really helpful. And then, transition to preschool. And then now they're big kids, but they're still babies.
Right.
So I think it's a beautiful program.
Well, thank you both so much for sharing just a little bit of your knowledge and the world of home visiting with us. If someone wants to get in touch with either of you, either they're interested in home visiting, they're interested in being a home visitor, or they just would like to explore services more, how do they find you guys?
They can call us directly to our home office. Our phone number is 847-963-1214. They'll be connected right away to our family engagement specialist, where they can ask any and all sorts of questions, whether they just want to learn more about services or the different types of services that we offer. There's no commitment needed. Even if they just want to come to community play groups, that's fine too, or are looking for resources. We're here to help for any need that they may have.
And Carol, how can they get a hold of your program?
For us, similarly, they could call our main office, which is 630-942-5600. Or if anyone would just Google Glenbard Parents as Teachers, and you would come up with a website with Case DuPage. That's our parent organization. And we have little videos on there. We've got a way you can just find out more. You can, just put in your name and phone number or email right there. And one thing that I think we both would do, both of our programs, if you would call either one, if we weren't the right fit for you because maybe the distance was really, really far, or there are some specialized home visiting programs, like there's some especially if it's a younger or teen parent. So if there was some reason where a different program was better for you, we would gladly tell you that and get you connected with them too. So please call us.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for listening.